Hi friends, this is Caitlin. Welcome back to my channel, CaitlinAnnaleeCards. Today I'm sharing a different kind of card for me. If you've been here before, you know that I am a big fan of a scene card, and normally I make all of my own scenes. But you can see in this Christmas Noel giant scrapbook pack that I got from Michael's that there's some scene background paper in here. I got this pack so that I could use some of the smaller pattern pieces as backdrops for my flat lays when I take pictures of my cards. But this little scene with the pickup truck and the trees and the snowy background really stood out to me as like a pre-made scene, and I didn't want to waste this paper. You know, as much as I could, I wanted to try to use it. So I ordered myself the Honeybee Stamps Vintage Snowman dies. They're like really cute layering dies. And when it got here, I was like, this just seems like it's the perfect scale to fit in this pre-made paper pattern scene. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to make my easiest little scene ever because more than half the work is already done for me. And because so much of that work is already done, I am going to take the time to Copic color all of my snowman pieces and really build as much kind of texture and shading and color into this set as I can, because it's really the focus of the card for me. So for my snowman layer, I am going in with some BG blue-green markers, adding all of my shading, you know, on the outer edges, but not touching the outer edge, just like a little centimeter or two in from the edge is going to help to give like a curved and a little bit of a shiny, icy look, kind of creating that curved highlight. I do this a lot on things like mugs or cups where we know they would be super high shine, but especially for something like this that doesn't have that hard edge drawn on it because it's just white cardstock. I think that this gives a nice balance of defining the outer edge, but still giving that curved effect. I did cut all of my die pieces out from my Copic Express It paper, which is my usual go-to Copic coloring paper. And I added some shading there under the snowman's head, under where each of the buttons are going to go. And then here where the eyes are going to go, I did like a little curved line there and a little blush, so it gives them some little round rosy cheeks. For the hat, I tried to base my reds on the red pickup truck that's back there. We're not really going to see it once my snowman is in place, but I just felt like with everything else going on, like we already know that that red fits well with the rest of the background, so why try to reinvent the wheel? So I'm going in with some RV markers, a little bit different than I would normally grab. I grabbed some RV 69 and then RV 29, and that was kind of a big jump. So here in a second, you'll see I'm going to do some tip to tip coloring with my markers. And that's where you use your lighter marker. Oh, maybe I cut it out. I promise I did do some tip to tip to make sure it blended. You take your lighter marker and you pick up some of the darker color on it and use it to blend everything out. I added the little pom-pom and the trim to my hat here with some tiny foam squares to give it a little bit of extra depth. And I'm going in with warm gray W3 and W1, just kind of emphasizing these little squiggles that are already pressed in, like embossed lines that are pressed in from our die. So I'm just following along. I'm not, drawing anything new or fancy. I went over all of those lines with that W3. Then I'm going to go over them directly on top and just a little bit wider with that W1, and then just kind of feathering them out to fill in some of that white. But we want to make sure that we're leaving still some true white space there. With this C7, I'm going to go in and start to fill in the eyes, the eyebrows, the mouth, and the buttons. I did come in with a little bit of C9 just to give that a little bit of variation. I didn't want it to just be one flat color with all the other dimension that we're working with, and I knocked that back down just a tad with that C7 again. so that it wouldn't be like a harsh dot in the middle of each button or the eyes. I added all of my pieces on with a liquid glue, and I'm using an embellishment wand. The waxy end of that is going to help me to pick everything up and place it right where I want it, because some of these pieces are a little detailed and fiddly, but 100% worth it in my opinion. And I did go back in and add some eye highlights with a white gel pen. I love doing that on my stamped images as well. I think just a little white dot here or there on the eyes really helps to kind of wake those characters up and really bring them to life. I added all of my buttons into their spot, and then for this carrot, I'm coming in with some really bright oranges. Again, just emphasizing the texture that the die already put in there for us. And I popped his little nose on into place. I'm going to add his hat onto his head, and I wanted to say, because I kind of skipped over it in the beginning, I was talking about that background scene. This die set also has a top hat. It's got a scarf. I think he's got mittens. It comes with like multiple different accessories so that you can really make, multiple snowmen for each scene, or make multiple different cards with the same snowman set, which I love because I have a hard time making the same card more than once. So the more ways I can use a die, the happier I am, because I don't mass produce. I decided to give my snowman these strand of lights because I thought it was cute that he's like out in the forest. He's going to go decorate his own Christmas tree. So I colored the light wire in just green because that's what mine are at home. And then for the lights, I wanted to bring in some of the fun color, like bright colors of the trees that are in the background. So we're going red, yellow, green, and like a tealy blue-green kind of blue. And I added my darkest shade to the middle of each bulb. And then I'm just kind of blending out from that so it looks kind of like it's glowing. I had to add the arms onto my snowman first. And then I thought this worked out really easily. I was worried how I was going to add all of these lights. So I just added a dot of glue to the top part of each light. And I'm just kind of rotating and spinning my little light strand around to pick each of them up. And this was, again, way easier than I thought it was going to be. These, like I said earlier, could be kind of fiddly. But this worked out really well. So 10 out of 10, recommend that method, versus like trying to flip it upside down and place it with a picker, embellishment wand, whatever. When I colored the bottom of my snowman, I did not realize that the actual snow dies that go at the bottom were going to cover all of it. I thought there would be like gaps or something. I wasn't paying attention. So I'm basically just coloring the top snow layers the same way I colored the first snow layers. And then I'm cutting some of those tiny foam squares that I used before in half, and we're going to pop up that extra little snow layer. So again, just giving some extra dimension. The snow at the bottom and then the hat trim at the top will both be popped up a little higher than everything else. And I think it's a really cute way to add some dimension without adding a lot of bulk. I messed around with the layout for the sentiment for a while. I actually had to walk away for a little bit and come back to it. And I was feeling really stuck. And when I came back, it all clicked into place for me. So I took the Christmas word die, and then there's a coordinating stamp set that I've had for a couple years now from Honeybee, and it's just so beautiful. So I cut the Christmas inner letters from the same blue snowy pattern paper that the background is, just one that was up higher that we weren't using, like the leftover bits, and I added that to a white shadow layer. And then once I get my snowman into place there, you can see he's kind of like right next to the truck, so you won't really know it's a truck, but it just gives a nice little pop of red. Then I placed my large word die overlapping his hat just a little bit, and then I'm taking the Merry from the coordinating stamp set and stamping that right above the Christmas. It fits perfectly next to that H. So we got a little Merry Christmas up there. And to finish tying in all of these colors, I brought in that teal snowy background one more time. It's the same one that we used on our lettering, and it's the top part of that scrapbook panel from our background. So we know it's all going to coordinate together. I trimmed that down to be an A2 5.5 by 4.25 and added it to a side folding A2 card base. And then I'm going to bring my little panel right on top that I had trimmed down to 5.25 by 4. So we get just that nice little hint of that teal. I came back in one more time with my white gel pen to add some highlights to my lights and a little bit to his little buttons. I'll add a little shine to his nose. And then again, down there on the bottom, just to break up some of that snow. You don't really notice it, but I think it's cute. So that finishes this card, my easiest scene card I might have ever done. 10 out of 10 recommend if you're like me and you like using scrapbook paper for your photo backdrops, or if you're a scrapbooker but you don't use the whole pack. Take a look at what you have and see if there's any papers that you can use as an extra fun background on your cards. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this one. I will be back here soon. Until next time, happy crafting.